Hey everyone, welcome back to Williamson Ridge Outdoors. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kubota Z421 again and how you change the oil in it. Just going to be a quick video really of how simple it is to change the oil and how they've kind of it's just well thought out. It's not like a lot of mowers where you have to jump in there and you got to get wrenches and all that stuff and pull your oil plug out and all that. Their design's really cool. It's really quick. It gets you changing your oil. You can get finished with it and get back to mowing with it. So let's take a look at that. You can see the oil filter and the oil plug are right here. And all you have to do is turn this screw and that will open that spout and let the oil drain out. So we've got our drain pan underneath the mower, and we can just reach in here and turn this little knob. You can see it's threading out. And once you get it out, the oil starts to come out. Take the cap off the dipstick, that way it gets ventilation down through it and it'll drain out good. Once you get all the oil drained out, and it's a matter of just taking the oil filter off. I've actually already loosened this one up a little bit with a filter wrench. But it just unthreads just like a automotive style oil filter. Always good to have some shop towels around, or paper towels too, just kind of keep your oil cleaned up, or spilt oil cleaned up. I prefer shop towels, but I am out and all I've got right now is paper towels. I'm always kind of a stickler about using manufacturer recommended oils and stuff. I would say any 4-stroke small engine oil would work, but I'm using the Kawasaki brand because when I go to the dealer for the Kubota, this is what they say, or this is what they sell for the Kawasaki engine. So I always like to stay with, you know, brand specific. If Kawasaki makes their own oil and recommends it, then that's what I'm going to use. Especially if, you know, you've got a warranty or something like that, then if you're using their brand of product, then they can't say that, you know, you used inferior product or whatever if you were using theirs. So I like to stay with that. I also have the Kawasaki oil filter for their engine to match. That way, once again, they can't say that you had inferior product. So what I like to do with this, and this is probably a lot of personal preference, but ever since I learned to change oil myself as a young kid, teenager, I would always pour some oil in the filter itself. And usually, if you fill it up the first time, the paper filter inside will soak that oil up. And you can have a little bit here that you might drop, and then you put it around the gasket in order to get a good seal the gasket up to the motor. That may not be necessary to pour oil in the filter itself, just something that I kind of like to do. On these side mount motors though, when you turn that filter up sideways, you're going to dump oil out of it. So you don't want to overfill it or put too much in there. I like to have enough kind of get it soaked into the filter, and just, you know, not enough to really dump out of it whenever you go to put the filter back on. And my thinking behind this is, if you put a filter in there with no oil in it at all, then it's going to have to pump the oil through the filter, and it's going to have a moment of dry time. Like, there's going to be no oil pumping into your motor or into like your oil pump or whatever that for your lubrication. So you're going to have a little bit of a dry start. It may not be but for just a fraction, but just in my preference, this seems to or would seem to help to keep that from happening. If you've already got oil in your filter, and or at least mostly filled up, it's not going to take as much time to start getting it in to circulate through your engine. So just a preference of mine. Other people may agree or disagree or whatever, but it's just the way I do it. Don't have to do it this way. But you do want to make sure that you always put a film of oil around the seal. That's the real important thing right there. Make sure it seals up good. Also, on the motor itself, or where the filter mounts on there, I like to go around the edge of that and clean off any debris or anything like that that could possibly be on there. So I always try to run a paper towel, a good clean paper towel, around the edge of that, and then inspect it and make sure there's no debris or anything like that on there, and then we'll spin our filter back on. Knob back in here for our oil drain, and this thing doesn't have to be real tight. You just basically thread it in until it stops. It does have a place that you can kind of snug it down with a screwdriver or something. I'm sure that's for vibration, because the mower, the engine vibrating could possibly, you know, vibrate that out a little bit. So you could snug it just a hair with a screwdriver or something, but you don't want to over tighten it. It's just got plastic threads on it. So almost to the last step. The filter itself says to tighten it up till it makes contact, and then hand tighten 3/4 of a turn past where it makes contact. And really, that's easy to do. That doesn't take a lot of pressure. And I mean, it's just hand tight. It says to hand tighten it. Do not use a wrench on it, unless it says that if you can't tighten it by hand that 3/4 turn, then to use a wrench on it. So you know, but hand tight is basically their point. I usually run into on these filters, once you initially put them on and you go hand tight with it, if you let it sit there for a few minutes, that gasket tends to compress a little bit, and then you can reach back in there, tighten it some more, and you'll get your 3/4 turn, or whatever the manufacturer specifies. In this case, 3/4 turn after the contact. Our last step here is just simply pour in our oil, and according to the manual for the motor, this thing holds 2.2 quarts. So we're going to put 2 quarts in it, and then we're going to check it and see how close we are. Now we just check our level, make sure it is in the safe zone, because what we're going to do now is start it up and let it run for just a minute, let it circulate the oil, and then we'll check it again and make sure that we're good. So once we run it for a minute, we're going to go back and check our oil again. And whenever you put your dipstick in to check the oil, you don't thread it in. You only put it down to the top of the threads, but you do not thread it. I don't know if you can see this, but we are right on the full mark. Which should be, that's pretty much perfect right there. So now, just to finish up, all we got to do, we make sure that everything's good and tight. While it was running, we were checking for leaks too. That's another reason that you start it up. But you want to circulate it through the filter. You want to make sure the filter's not leaking whenever it has pressure on it and when it's circulating. So, you know, you start it up, you let it run for just a minute or two, then you come back, you check your levels, make sure there's no leaks, no drips, no nothing anywhere, and you're good to go. Of course. So that pretty much wraps it up for changing the oil in the Kubota Z421. It was a simple job, and of course I've done this before, so I did know how to do it, but really there's nothing to it. In fact, I'm probably not even going to have to edit a whole lot in this video, simply because like it's not going to be a long video because of the simplicity of it. And if I wasn't videoing it and explaining, you know, what I was doing as I was going, I'd say you can change the oil in this in 5 minutes, and no more than 10 for sure, but you can definitely do it in as little as 5 minutes pretty easy. So for somebody that was wanting to use this type of mower commercially or something like that, and you know their mower gets to the service time, then they don't have to be worried about, you know, man, it's going to take me an hour to change the oil or something, you know, or it doesn't take long at all. In fact, the longest part of it is warming the motor up a little bit, and I don't think I actually said that at the beginning, but I ran the mower around for just a few minutes to warm the oil up so that it would drain out real nice and clean. So that's something you want to do, but that's probably the longest process of it, is just warming the motor up enough to change the oil. So once you do that, you jump in there and you just crack open the drain plug, pull off the filter, put them back on, tighten everything down, check it, you're good to go. And it's a matter of just a few minutes doing that. So, I hope this video helps somebody out. I hope it's useful. If it is, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to stick around for other videos, and we're getting ready to have a giveaway. We're almost at the 250 subscriber giveaway, and make sure you subscribe to be around for that. Also, subscribe and stick around for our 500 subscriber giveaway and our 1,000. Our ultimate goal is to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark, and I'd love to do that by the end of the year. But for that, I already know what the prize is going to be for the 1,000 subscriber mark, so the quicker I can get there, the sooner I get to give it away. But it's going to be a $50 Amazon gift card, so make sure you stick around for that. So if you like videos like this, make sure you hit that thumbs up button, share them with your friends or anybody you know. Subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.